going through to the A final, remainder through to the B final, or just the semi-final. So no medals here, but yeah, James Edgar will be cruising into the A final, and he was followed closely by lane 4, which was Oliver Plank from Edinburgh University.
Now we have the second set of Championship Lightweight men's sculls coming down the course. They are at their halfway point now. In first position we've got Sylvain Boyer from Kingston Rowing Club. In second we have the Bath University rower sculler Jack Norton, and third we've got Ardingly Benedict Weiss.
And this looks to be a much closer race. Just looking at those times there at the halfway point, there was about a length between the Kingston and the Bath sculler, and then a length again back to the Ardingly sculler. So although I say this is again a semi-final, so it's the first 3 that matter to who's going to go through to the A final, and there's then a 5.5 second gap back to the Queen's Belfast sculler in lane 5. So it does seem like we've got a race of 2 halves, which is apt because they are going to be going to the A and B final respectively. Should tee up some good racing later in the day, but as commentators, it does look like that the outcome of this race seems fairly settled, although you never know with single sculling, maybe they'll try and just get one ahead of each other. But if I was sculling down this course now, if I'm thinking, right, I've got a 5 second gap ahead of the B finalists, I don't need to go hell for leather just to get the top place. It's nice for the lanes, but it doesn't actually necessarily equate to anything. The conditions here are very even, so you don't necessarily need to worry about lane seeding too much.
I think that's what Carol and I were saying earlier, is that when you find yourself in one of those top 3 positions in a semi-final today, it's probably a lot less intense. You're not vying for the first spot to get the best lane possible because the conditions are surprisingly lovely. So, if you get any of the middle lanes, I think you're in for a good one. I'm going to use this race as a moment to talk about something that I love chatting about when I'm on the commentary, which is how much work goes into preparing as a rower to row at these events and how much people invest in their rowing careers. So you see people rowing, especially in these championship events, they are at the top of their game, they're at the top of their their field of rowers, and so there's a huge amount of training that goes in. It's not just what you do on the water on race day, but it's all of the miles that you put in both on and off the water, and then you get people who do a huge amount of stuff on top of that. So for example, the Kingston Rowing sculler here in lane 3, the S. Boyer, he has a PhD in modelling hearing protectors from 2015, and he's an R&D engineer who creates prototypes from scratch. He worked previously at the National Physical Laboratory and is now at the Building Research Establishment. So he's not very new to the sport. He came back from the Henley Masters after winning the Masters B singles, and he told himself it was going to be his last year competing, but I think he did quite well at Met. He got into the A final, and he looked for a double partner for Henley qualifiers, ended up in a composite crew with someone from Thames, who was just back from injury, and so that is just an example of the depth and richness of life that you find in these rowers who spend an inordinate amount of time rowing, and then come and have fantastic races like this. I mean, if you look, they're in the red
I'm sorry
boys.
to cut you off, Sasha, but we are having an excellent battle now. We were talking about how relaxed the final will be, but this is not happening whatsoever. The Bath sculler has come behind, taken 3 seconds out of the Kingston sculler, and as we go into the line, this is a grudge match for who is going to get their bow ball ahead. And I think Sylvain Boyer from Kingston has just held it off there. He did a burst in response to just take another half a length out of Bath, but James Norton there from the University of Bath Jack Norton gave him an absolute fright there, and there you go. So I was proved utterly wrong. Sometimes in these races, there's a battle of pride to get your bow ball ahead of the other and just send a marker for the next race.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think I didn't quite see that coming. It was coming from behind the screen, and I don't think that Sylvain did either, because I saw him do an almost double takeover to the Bath sculler, and he saw that he was being challenged. He saw that it was a head-to-head, and it was very much a matter of pride for him to cross the finish line first. So he has got that that good lane for the next race, I guess, and we'll see if that little burst cost him anything.
Yeah, I mean, there's some psychological warfare going on as well. You know, if you can prove to yourself that you can beat this person in such a way or whatever, it might be something. You set yourself an objective to do it in a certain way. Who knows? It makes for more interesting commentary, I'll tell you that. Anyhow, we're moving on to